To discuss this major announcement further is the Chief Scientific Officer at the Wellness Company, Dr. Peter McCullough. Dr. McCullough, thanks for jumping on with us. How should pregnant women be thinking about Tylenol after today?
Well, this was a historic press briefing regarding autism, the first one in my medical career I can remember from, the Oval Office. I mean, this is really a tremendous time. Autism is a crisis. President Trump brought up the fact of pregnant women as well as children developing fever. He brought up vaccines, including mercury and aluminum in vaccines, and of course the response to that fever, which is Tylenol, commonly used. I can tell you at this point in time, my clinical judgment would be this is likely confounded by indication. Tylenol has been used for well over 60 years. It's probably not the Tylenol itself. It's really what it's being used for.
And could we see an interaction between Tylenol and the vaccines through some research going forward that would further inform what pregnant women need to do?
Well, there is one study that's already looked at that, and you hit the nail on the head, and that was an important study by Schultz and colleagues, 2008, that Tylenol given after the MMR vaccination markedly increased the risk of autism. It was a small study. So I think you're heading down the right path on the reporting here. Remember, Tylenol is really the only fever control drug that can be used during pregnancy. Naproxen sodium and ibuprofen can't be used. Now in children, both Tylenol and the nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory agents can be used, but preferably a woman or a child wouldn't get significant fevers. The leading cause of a fever in a pregnant woman is taking vaccines, and that started in the last 25 years.
If someone is confronted with a lot of pressure from physicians to take vaccines when pregnant, are there places you direct people to look? I mean, again, we just went through this in our family, Dr. McCullough, where almost in every discussion you have with a medical professional, they really push these vaccines on you for both the woman before pregnancy and then the baby after. And I'm a lawyer, not a scientist, not a medical professional, but it just seems like so much information, and the person telling you these things has so much apparent authority. It would be nice to point parents to places where they could review other authority and make informed decisions.
One of the best step-by-step guides is by a physician in California, Jeff Barkey. So look up his book about how to guide through vaccines. Listen, when my wife had my children, no vaccines at all. So vaccines are a new thing during pregnancy. It started in the last 25 years. It's been accelerating. I think it causes fever, which can cause a woman to lose a pregnancy, and now they're responding to it with Tylenol, acetaminophen, which has this linkage to later on childhood autism. So I think the vaccines getting out of pregnancy will be welcome, and then we need a really earnest look at childhood autism, which doesn't start at birth. It typically occurs during the infant years.
I think that a lot of people have lost confidence in the systems that are used to produce the type of recommendations that people just used to follow without questioning. What are you observing regarding Secretary Kennedy's leadership of HHS to improve those systems in a durable way? Because the cynic might look at this and say, well, you say we're going to look at these things, but the very corrupt influences who are trying to get these, these vaccines into people even before they're born, they're not going anywhere. They still exist. They're still going to try to influence. How do we harden ourselves against that as a society?
Kennedy's taking positive steps, but think about this $50 million investment in autism. That's a drop in the bucket. The CDC is a $9 billion organization. The CDC doesn't do any direct care of patients and is simply providing recommendations to us. So the government has plenty of money to work with. I think we need a much larger investment into autism. Trump said it today that he wants to see the vaccines spaced out. He wants the mercury and aluminum out of them. And what Trump is pointing to, and I think Kennedy and others will follow, is a reduced burden of vaccines on children, allowing much more of a natural, healthy process. 9 studies, we're up to now 13 studies, show that a child born today who's healthy and takes no vaccines whatsoever is healthier than their vaccinated counterparts.
Senator Cassidy of Louisiana has been one of the big champions of vaccines in the Senate. And he says all of these questions are already answered. There is no need to go back and replow these fields. The research has been done. He attests that vaccines are safe. I always thought that the last step of the scientific method was to know that there was never a last step, that you constantly had to be reassessing hypotheses. What would you say to those who want to close the book on these questions and ask us to accept the doctrine that has governed for the last 40 years?
Well, I wonder if he thought that the questions were all answered on Tylenol. I mean, there you go. So, new research always opens up new questions. A child born today, if they're on the full vaccine schedule, receives 16 different products, different antigenic products around year one. And I can tell you as a medical doctor, if I prescribe 16 drugs to somebody all at once, there's going to be a side effect. All 16 given as a bundle has never been studied, not in a single study for safety. Cassidy is wrong. He needs to get up to date with contemporary science. And you know what? Americans' children need to be protected.
I think there is some hope that the scientific method is going to prevail over what I believe has been a corrupt system driven by the special interest of wanting to get as much approved and required as possible. But thank you, as always, Dr. Peter McCullough, the Chief Scientific Officer at the Wellness Company. We always enjoy hearing your perspective and your expertise.
Thank you.